from North Carolina. This is Anne of Line and Circle. And this tutorial will show you how to break the hoop in both directions using the same hand. So we're going to begin with leading breaks. Those are the more conventional and familiar kind of breaks and that we usually learn first. And they look like this. These are breaks with the leading hand. So breaking with the hand that the hoop is flowing towards. Okay, the way I like to get people started with that is to just start hooping in your favorite direction, your first current, that direction that feels most familiar and comfortable to you. Then you're going to notice that there's a point at which you can fly the hand, and let's just use the leading hand at this point. Fly that leading hand up into the current and just float it along with the spinning hoop, and you're floating it with the hoop as the inner space. That's what I call the space that's contained within the hoop, as the inner space is opening in front of you. So that happens once every revolution. The inner space opens completely and closes completely. So what we're doing is we're flying the leading hand up next to the hoop as inner space is completely closed, as the point of contact is flat against the heart, and we're following that inner space as it opens. Aha, so it looks like this in motion. So that's step one, flying the leading hand with the hoop in flow, and this is going to show us where our breaking point is going to be. Okay, our next step, getting to the leading breaks on the shoulders, is going to be leaving the hoop in the current and allowing a break to happen. So a break happens. We don't grab the hoop. We move with the hoop and allow it to come to a stop. So what happens is, instead of flying our arm into and out of the current, or rather our hand, rather than flying our hand into the current and then out, we're going to leave the hand in the current, then twist with the hoop, and then twist back as soon as the hoop comes to a stop. Now we're going to practice in our opposite direction, our second favorite direction, as my friend Nayeli likes to say. Our second current, the less familiar direction, the less comfortable direction, so this is great practice. So we're going to fly the leading hand. See, now the leading hand has switched. The opposite hand is now the leading hand. I'm hooping to the left. I'm using my left hand. I'm opening my leading hand with the current. I'm flying along the outer wall of the hoop, and I'm going to find that sweet spot where my break is going to happen. And then I'm going to let it happen. Notice how I twist with the hoop. I twist into the break and out of the break. Twist into the break and out of the break. If you want to know a little bit more about breaks and paddles, you can check out my How to Get Good at Breaking and Paddling tutorial, linked here. So these are leading breaks, one right after the other with no revolutions in between. Okay, and now for our third step, we're going to repeat all of those steps, but with the opposite hand. Okay, so I'm going to go back into right current, which is my favorite direction. And I'm going to fly my opposite hand now, open with the hoop. As inner space is opening in front of me, I'm going to fly now what I call my following hand. So I'm in right current, but I'm using my left hand, using my opposite hand, and that's the hand that the hoop is flowing away from. That's why I call it the following. So I'm opening my following hand now. As inner space opens in front of me, I am opening that space with my following hand. I'm just flying my following hand along with that inner space as it opens. And then, of course, I'll switch directions doing everything in both currents with both hands. That's the old school hoop path rule. And so now I'm in left current and I'm flying my right hand into and out of the current. And I am opening my right hand, my following hand, along with that inner space as it opens. Flying, flying, flying. Flying, flying, open, open. Now, step 4, I'm going to turn that flying action into a break simply by leaving my following hand in the current, allowing the hoop to come in contact with the palm of my hand, and just like any other break, I'm going to twist into it, I'm going to twist out of it quickly, both ways, and that's really going to help your momentum. This is something that I think people don't often pay enough attention to, is how important this corkscrewing action is, twisting into the break and twisting out of it. So let's check it out. I'm going to go back into right current, and again, I'm using my left hand. I'm using my opposite hand, the following hand. So, turning to the right, and I'm flying my left hand with the current, and then I'm going to leave that hand in the current, twist with the hoop, and lo and behold, it's going to change directions. So now let me try my opposite current. I'm in left current using my right hand, flying that right hand up into the current, leave it in, the hoop will land in it just like a softball, into a softball glove, and then you'll twist with it and twist out, twisting into the break and out of the break. Break, 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 break. And notice how I'm breaking in the exact same way. I'm just using my opposite hand. So no revolutions in between, just one right after the other. These are following breaks. And they're fun. Really, really, really fun. Okay, and now for our 5th step, 5 steps to breaking in both directions with the same hand. So we're going to join those 2 breaks together. And I'm going to start off with a leading break, and I'm going to leave my hand in the current, and it's just going to become a following break, okay? So I'm going to start again, of course, in my favorite direction, my first current, which in my case is right. So I'm going to start in right current, and I'm going to be using first my right hand to break the hoop. Then it's going to break, and I'm going to leave my hand inside the current and just let it come into a following break. So break, break. I'm just leaving my hand in the current, twisting into both breaks, and that is going to allow me to break the hoop in 2 directions with the same hand. Okay, now I'm just going to do a single break. So now I'm in my opposite current, my second current, my second favorite direction. And I'm going to begin again with a leading break, leave my arm in the current, that's going to become a following break. Leading, following. Leading, following. Leading, following. Leading, following. Leading, following. Leading, following. So I'm breaking in both directions with the same hand. So how about I try now starting with a following break, but then I can turn it into a leading break just by leaving my hand inside the current and making sure that I twist into and out of every break. So notice, even if there's not a revolution in between each break, I'm still twisting into and out of the breaks. And you can leave space between these breaks, so allowing space to come between hand and hoop between breaks, but you can also leave the hand in contact with the hoop and turn these into nice slide brakes, or sticky brakes as Baxter calls them. Sliding from break point to break point. So again, notice I'm braking in both directions using the same hand. I'm just sliding against the outer wall of the hoop. Yeah. Sliding, sliding. Back and forth. So with the space in between, it's a little more percussive. Looks like this. And with the slides, a little bit silkier, sexier. Thank you all so much. I hope to see you on the road one of these days. You can check me out at lineandcircle.com or follow me on Facebook at Line and Circle or at my personal page, Ann Humphreys. Thank you and much hoopla.